My name's Greg Dobson with Humankind Recruitment.
Hi, I'm Val Malone. I'm the president of the Halifax Tides FC.
All right, so Val, you've spent over 20 years with some amazing, large organizations in the sporting world. Some including Raptors, Leafs, Canadians. What was the sort of deciding factor to bring you back to Halifax and start things with the Tides?
Yeah, so I'm from here. I grew up between New Brunswick and New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. It's always been kind of a dream of ours, my husband and I, to come back. We had a 5-year plan to do that, but lives and careers took over, and so we thought it was more of a retirement dream. But opportunity knocked, and we decided to come back. I didn't come back for the Tides, but I found the Tides, and Courtney Sherlock, our founder and owner, announced Let There Be a Team. I'd been following, of course, being very involved within professional sports. Mm-hmm. I've been following Project 8 and the traction that Diana and her team were having. Was very interested. And when Courtney announced Let There Be a club in Halifax, I jumped at the chance to meet her and to have a conversation and to get involved in any way that I possibly could. Being involved in professional sports, of course, always on the men's side. I had been, subject to the data around 96% of female leaders in C-suite positions having played sports, and the gap that was being created for young girls, given that they were dropping out of organized sports at an alarming rate. Aside, independently, myself and a couple of partners had started working on a not-for-profit organization to help build confidence skills in young girls that were actually dropping out of sports, because we saw that gap and saw the equity gap further widening and wanted to make sure that we did something about it. And so I was always motivated to be part of women's professional sport. Always motivated to come back home. And when those two kind of ambitions collided, it was a perfect mix, and I jumped at the opportunity. Haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. So when it comes to building out a professional club like the Tides, mm-hmm. I think of the sort of GM at home when they're playing video games and they're sort of building out their teams, and you're sort of building around a player, or for you in your case, what's happening on the pitch, building a team around whether it's a goalkeeper or a striker. When you're looking at the front office, is there a similar approach where there's certain roles that you need to, establish first as you sort of build out a team from the ground up? What does that process look like for you guys?
Yeah, I'm going to quote Good to Great, and it's about having the right people on the bus and then making sure that those right people are in the right seats. And so it's very similar from that regard. And so as it relates to the squad, it's hiring the right people within the sporting world that have this experience to understand the squad, define an overall playing philosophy, and ensure that we're playing against that. And so I have utmost confidence as it relates to Stephen Hart, our head coach, and our technical team, including our new Vice President of Football, Ruth Fahy, and Mit Batra, in terms of building those pieces out. So I'm really excited about Season 2. We've definitely fine-tuned our approach and are excited about the performance we're going to put on the pitch. In the front office, it's much the same in terms of understanding those right people and having them aligned to what we're trying to create in the values of the organization. To be honest with you, that's what I'm most proud of through this endeavor and in our first year, is the way that the team on both sides of the coin, the front office and from the sporting and technical staff, have really truly come together. Having worked in many and had the opportunity to work with many professional organizations, I would put this team up against any single one of them. I think they're absolutely fantastic.
That's amazing. High praise for sure.
Yeah, and they deserve it. They deserve it for sure.
So when you look at, the early team, when you guys are just getting established, mm-hmm. There's maybe a handful of team members as you are looking to build out the organization. What does that look like? Is it, are you looking for folks that, can play sort of multiple roles? Is it a, more of a mindset versus a skill set type thing? What does that mix look like? Because you guys are really building everything from nothing.
Really great question. And so it was an interesting project because while we are scaling and growing a professional league and club, we were still in startup mode. Mm-hmm. And so the most important piece in terms of building a business is that you're scaling that business at the same time as the business is growing. You can't scale too quickly,
Right.
or you'll never get ahead of those keys.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, on the onset, it was about truly just ensuring that we had well-rounded individuals with the same, again, values and passion to do what we are doing, because there is no job description or checkbox of pieces that you can bring into working at this club. You have to be versatile and be able to do multiple different things and wear many different hats. And that is actually the underpinning of everybody that's actually here and part of the club. They will do different things that don't necessarily fall within their overall job responsibilities, because they care about what we're creating.
Yeah.
And they care about the product that we're creating for our community, and how the players are taken care of, and how we interact as a team. And so, yeah, it's identifying what are the core things off the hop that we're going to need to do immediately, that are going to need resourcing, and making sure you're hiring people with the skills to be able to do that, but that fit within our overall vision and our values, and want to be here and are versatile. And that's what we've done. And so over the course of the first season, as we were ramping up, we scaled up, we hired more people. Second season, same thing, hiring more people. We do that surgically where it needs to be, but it's part of everything that we say when we say, hey, let's talk about versatility, because this is not a job in which you're going to come in and repeat the same tasks over and over again.
Right. Yeah.
That makes it fun and exciting, but it can be taxing, and we're very clear up front in terms of what that looks like. And you can tell pretty quickly when you're talking to somebody whether or not they're going to fit within that environment, or if that's something that's going to give them a moment to pause. And if it does, then they're not a fit for what we're trying to do. But when you're working in this, it's so exciting. Like, it's so exciting to build a club and a league and women's professional sport. Like, we haven't found or come across many people who weren't inspired and didn't want to become part of it. And that shows up every single day in the way that my team shows up, what they do, how they approach everything from game day to month-end business audits. Like, they're amazing. And it really truly is the fit, and people who have a desire to push towards something that's never been done before.
It brings up like a great follow-up question, which is, you speak with a lot of folks that sort of in the business community when they're looking to bring people on, where they're saying, yes, it's the skill set, yes, it's culture fit, but having someone who buys into that vision, that long-term vision, what you guys are doing for women's sport and, for representation in business as well, all sort of in that one channel, I would imagine that has to be a pretty significant component when you're, chatting with folks of, if you want to be involved in this organization, there needs to be an element of that, passion that's right at the front.
100%. And so I say to the team and publicly all of the time, the product that we put on the pitch is really the excitement that we're driving, but that is a fraction of what we're building. Behind the scenes, we're building a platform and a business and a structure where people can learn and grow, and where we can drive equity across the board, and that women who could never even imagine one day taking the role of a president of a professional football club can actually see it and dream it and be it, and developing those pathways. My team has done a really great job too in terms of working within the community to build in interns and internship programs to give people a flavor and a taste of what that looks like. The world is changing rapidly, and so having the ability to coach people to understand what the future could look like and help them fine-tune their skills around versatility and how to pivot and grow is something that we're really, really proud of, and something that we can offer that didn't exist before. So yeah, we definitely talk about that to every single person who wants to join the club. And we position it just that way, that we're in an ever-changing world, and this club is fit to help you deliver those overall skills while doing something very impactful and cool that you maybe never even thought you'd be able to do before. So yeah, for sure, it's a key thread that's through all of our conversations.
That's amazing. So you've brought together a group of incredible partners across a number of different industries as part of your guys' sponsorship program, only going into your second season. Can you talk about what you guys look for in a partner, and more just beyond the traditional sort of sponsorship as a financial piece, but the value that you bring to partners? I know we've seen it ourselves, and we've seen it with other folks as well, but can you speak more to how you guys approach building relationships in the community?
I'm going to take a minute and just pat the team on the back one more time. As it relates to the league and our approach to partnership, we've been written up in Wasserman this year in terms of what we've actually done from a partnership perspective, and we've led the league with our book of partners.
Wow.
And that's because we do in fact take a very, very different approach. Yeah. We firmly believe at the Tides that a partnership truly is that. It's not transactional.
Yeah.
It's about building value with our partners both ways in terms of what we give but what we get. Because our approach in terms of building this club was building a club for the community, by the community, and that's exactly what's happening. Mm-hmm. And so for us, that's what we do. So we take a moment. There isn't, in our approach, and we're building out partnerships and sponsorship, there isn't a rate card that we come to you with, as you well know.
Yeah.
We sit down and we do a discovery session to understand, okay, let's talk about what's important to us as a club, what our values are, and what we're trying to deliver. Now you tell us what's important to you as a business, what values you have, and what you would like to deliver. And that intersection is where the magic happens, and then we will build customized programs and plans to make sure that we are in fact deriving a meaningful partnership. And those meaningful partnerships, of course, make sense from a business perspective, but you see them in the community. Yeah. You see them being activated at the games. You see them in real life, and they're authentic. Yeah. They don't feel forced or measured in any way, and that's why we're winning. It's not about the dollar target that we're trying to get to. It's about building these pieces, and we know that will pay back in spades, and it has. And that's the way that we want to conduct ourselves. We're in this incredible East Coast community that does in fact support its own, and we think that that's the best way to go about it, and it's definitely worked for us.
There's something about that sort of East Coast, relationship driven, both in business, but then in many different other aspects of our life that seems to be sort of the secret sauce on this side of the country that works really well for being able to create relationships that are really meaningful, and ones where people see value behind just like you said, things that aren't just transactional, but being able to really feel something when you engage in a partnership.
Yeah, for sure. It's super important part of our DNA. It's yours, which is why it's a good fit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you've been a leader in organizations that have typically not had sort of strong female leadership. I remember reading your bio and seeing so many different organizations where you've held sort of executive positions, or the first to lead an organization for the first time in North America, I believe, to hold an executive position with one of the organizations that you're with prior. What would you say in your career so far, if there's any sort of things that you've noticed consistently that has been changing in terms of more equity in representation in the business community, that something that gives you some hope, or something that's moving in the right direction?
So it's funny, I'll share a little story with you. A few years back, the position you're referring to is I was named President and General Manager of Lixil, which is American Standard, so it's the largest plumbing brand in North America. And I was named President and GM of that business here in Canada, and that's the first time there was a woman leader in North America that had taken charge. And I was having an interview, and I cannot remember the outlet that I was interviewing with about my appointment. And they had asked me, this is a big appointment, you've never seen this from a North American perspective. Do you think the fact that you're a woman actually lent itself to you actually getting the position?
Oh, wow.
And I stopped and I paused for a second, and I'm like, 100%.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, wow. They're like, listen, because I'm a woman, I had to work harder, faster, and longer. And it helped me build all the skills that made me uniquely positioned to make sure that I could lead this team into the next chapter of what needs to happen. And it's true, and I mean that, and it's across, whether it's electronics or whether it's carbonated soft drinks or whether it's any business that I had the opportunity to work on, I truly believe that hard work is in fact the key to success.
And what a great way to flip, a script that has been sort of repeated so many times that has been proven wrong on, various levels as, folks like yourself have continued to achieve, great success in the organizations that they've been with. Questions like that, oftentimes it's easy to sort of take that and, maybe look at, okay, well, that's not a great question and just go down one route, but to flip it on that and, I think that a fantastic way to approach
regardless that. Of what path you're coming from, whether you are male or female, no matter your religious background, your race, the concept of hard work is consistent through all. And I firmly believe no matter where you're coming from, if you work really, really hard, you will enjoy the fruits of those labors. Yeah. There was, and it was in fact, and it continues to be, an equity gap between men and women in the corporate world. And that divide is real, and so you work hard to be able to identify that. If you do that, and if you're able to approach it and be honest about it, and build a great team and show the results of their work, you're going to win. Yeah. And so I think that is fundamental to absolutely everything. And I love that question. And at the moment, I'm going to be honest, I was having a panic attack. I'm like, how do I answer this? But it's true. And so we're definitely seeing the pendulum swing. And I do think that, equity is important, and women have a lot to give back to the corporate world, and but that does not negate the need for all of us to work hard. Yeah. And so I think that you should work hard and earn the positions that you're given, regardless of what background you came from. And I think that hard work is going to be, especially in the ever-changing world that we're in, key to those that are going to lead and succeed moving forward and set the example for the future generations. Yeah.
What a great piece of advice too for anyone that ends up watching this to be able to say, okay, well, if you're faced with that sort of question, think about flipping the script and how you can,
not like that. It's really even, I said this to someone recently, a student who had asked for some time with me, and I'd spent the time. It's not about your GPA, it's not about your intelligence, it's not about any of those things. It's about how hard you work. Yeah. And what your commitment is. Yeah. And if you just focus on that, you're going to be fine.
Simple.
Yeah.
This one's actually kind of my favorite one.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah. Is there a message, 2 years in to the Halifax Tides? It seems as though you guys have been here forever with the impact you've had on the community so far and the buy-in in the community. You see Tides flags, when you're driving down on Agricola Street or, in some of the, restaurants and bars downtown, with the brand taking off. What do you want the message to be for future young athletes and future young sort of leaders in business, young women who are looking to sort of take that next step and are looking at the Tides as an organization that shows, both from a sporting standpoint and from a business standpoint, what is possible? What's the message that, looking back, maybe, or 10 years from now or 5 years from now, whatever it may be, that you really want to get across?
Yeah, it's an easy one for me, actually. There's nothing too big. So you may have a dream or a thought, an idea, and you think it's too big and you don't need to tackle it. Go for it. Yeah. Just keep going. You're going to be surprised with the amount of support. You're going to be surprised with the amount of people who are going to step up and want to work with you to do that. But there's nothing too big. Oftentimes we're held back just by your fear of thinking we can't do it. This time a year and a half ago, we're going to launch a team and a league in 8 months. I thought it was crazy. I thought it was crazy to be able to do it. But there is nothing that's too big, that if you surround yourself with the right people that have common interest and the same desired goal, that you can achieve. And remember, there's no I in team. You need people around you to do it. Nobody achieves anything independently. Even individual goals that you've met, people have supported you along the way. So you need to surround yourself with the absolute right people that are aligned to your overall vision, and dream big and go for it.
It's amazing. And one final question for you, and that would be, I consider this more like a, let's call it sort of a cheat sheet. If someone were to be looking at, joining the Halifax Tides,
Mm-hmm.
they want to hear it from the president herself.
Mm-hmm.
What is sort of the one thing that you would say if someone's interested in joining the Tides? What's the one thing that they should know? Maybe it's not the thing that they see on a job description. Maybe it's not something that they see, on the homepage of the website, but just something that if they can get this little tidbit of information of what to expect or a little piece of advice, and if they're able to see this and take it, what would be that one thing that you would want to pass on?
Yeah, the versatility component in terms of if you really want to work in women's professional sport and you really want to work for the Tides, get your foot in the door. I can think of a number of employees that sit here today and have progressed throughout our organization that literally just want to get their foot in the door, showed their versatility, showed their commitment, and they've continued to progress and continue to grow with the organization. So show the versatility, show up, be present, be in the organization. I have employees that work here today that have stopped me at various events and said, I want to work for the Tides. Oh, you do you?
Wow.
And that was their introduction. And they work here today. So show up, be part of the community, and if you really truly want to be in it, put your foot in the door, regardless if that is the path you think you want to follow. The leaders within this organization understand that we hire people based on their ability to align with us, their versatility, and their desire for hard work. But we build our careers based on the critical experiences that our team needs to achieve their ultimate career goals.
Right.
And so that might not, maybe you want to be in marketing one day. I don't have a marketing role for you today, but you can come join our street team.
Yeah.
And guess what? Then you're going to have access to our director of marketing. And she might say, oh my goodness, this individual is amazing. I think we should be working more with them. Get in, get dirty.
Yeah.
Take the opportunity you can to show your skills and your versatility, and you'll win within our organization for sure.
That's amazing. I can attest to that approach. Years ago when I was in high school, I would have the odd weekend where I was Mac the Moose at the Mooseheads games.
Oh.
So running up and down the stands, dancing, with the comfort of knowing that I was protected by, a giant moose outfit. I've now shared this with my, by the time people see this, they'll know that was the case. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions that'll come from it. But yes, there are photos. But it was a really great experience because sometimes being able to take in that, an organization at the ground level. You mentioned, getting involved with a street team, interacting with fans and seeing what happens. Not exactly what's going on in the office or on the pitch, but what's going around with the fans or at events and in the community. What a great way to be able to learn more about what you guys are doing with your mission, and would highly recommend it to anyone as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Well, those are all my questions.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, thank you. This has been great, and we obviously love attending the games. My first time last year. Attending one, the atmosphere was electric, and looking forward to coming up to a number of them this year.
Yeah, we can't wait to have you. That was a good game.
That was a good game.
That was a good game.
No.
We can't wait to have you for sure, and it's been a real pleasure working with your organization. We absolutely align on so many different levels, and so I can't say enough about our partnership, and I look forward to watching you grow in years to come.
Thank you very much, and you as well.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, perfect.